please call the roll.
Chairman Rick Johnson,
Here.
David LaMontagne,
Here.
Vivian Picard,
Here.
Nicole Cover,
Here.
Donald Bailey.
Here.
Chairman Johnson, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Public comment, I just again a reminder that people that wish to address the board later in the meeting, please keep your comments not towards a pertinent application that could be before us, but anything else is fine. You'll have basically 2 minutes to do that. Okay, number 4, approval of the agenda. Is this the... It's a good one, okay. So we need a motion to approve the agenda. That's
Motion to approve.
their support.
Support.
Moved and supported to approve the agenda before us. Please call the roll.
Chairman Rick Johnson,
Yes.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next is approval of the December 7th minutes. Everyone had a chance to go through them.
Motion to approve.
Is there support? Moved and supported to approve the minutes of December 7th. Any more discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Chairman Rick Johnson,
Yes.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Old business, we have a tabled application from the last meeting. We need a motion to remove that from the table. Is
Motion to remove from the table.
there support?
Support.
Moved and supported to untable state operating license applications and related pre-qualification for Great Lakes Northern Lights LLC. Please call the roll.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey.
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 5 yeses. Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, we need to have a motion and please let's do the motions before we do any discussion. Any of them, it makes it a little easier for the folks to keep everything in line where it needs to be. So, what's the wishes of the board on Great Lakes Northern Lights Provisioning Center? Discussion, or excuse me, motion by anyone? Seems like that's a problem we had. the
Mr.
last
Chairman,
time.
I make a motion to approve Great Lakes Northern Lights.
Is there support? It's been moved and supported to approve Great Lakes Northern Lights LLC. Discussion.
To clarify, this motion would be to pre-qualify Great Lakes
Yes.
Northern Lights,
Yes.
and it would be also to grant the state operating license.
Yes.
No discussion? Hearing none? Please call the roll.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey.
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 5 yeses. Motion passes.
Okay, next is agenda item about 7A. The applicant is Grizz Labs for pre-qualification, a safety compliance facility.
Mr. Chair, I move to deny Grid Lab license based on the not meeting the financial requirements.
Is there anything else to add to that?
Yes, hold on a second. Mhm. Grid Labs, section 4023A, 4023 C. And the source of capital provided does not establish a reliable means for the operation of a facility under the Act. and the applicant's proposed capitalization does not meet 25% liquidity.
Any discussion? Motion is to deny. Hearing none, please call the roll.
We need a second on that motion.
Oh, we didn't? I'm sorry. Is there support?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes. Excuse me, yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 5 yeses. Motion passes.
Okay. Number 2, applicant is Sunshine Lands LLC for pre-qualification for a Class C grow. What's the issue?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve Sunshine Labs for Class C grow.
Second.
It's been moved and supported to approve Sunshine Lands LLC for a pre-qualification and a Class C grow. Is there support?
Support.
Second.
Yeah.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call roll.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 5 yeses. Motion passes.
Thank you. Number 3 is Sunshine Farms, spelled with a P, LLC, for pre-qualification as a processor. Any comments, motions, wishes?
Motion to approve Sunshine Farms.
Is there support?
Support. Support.
Moved and supported to approve applicant Sunshine Farms LLC for pre-qualification for process facility. Any more discussion? Hearing none, please call roll.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 5 yeses. Motion passes.
Thank you. Next, number 4 is Green Net Agricultural Corporation for pre-qualification for Class C grow and a provisioning center.
Mr. Chairman, you wanted to have a motion on the table for up or down before discussion. Is that what I heard?
Yes.
I make a motion to deny. This is Green Mitten Agricultural, correct? Yes.
Green.
Green Mitten Agricultural, based on (4023A) personal and business probity to operate or maintain a marijuana facility. 4023A. Yes.
Support.
Moved and supported to deny Green Net Agricultural Corporation a pre-qualification status. Is there discussion?
Mr. Chairman, on this application, these are both applicants, JB and WS are caregivers. In the instance of a marijuana caregiver under the 2008 law, JB lists cultivation equipment valued at $326,000, which is in no way comports with providing medicine to 5 patients. This is obviously, in my mind, a commercial operation and has been for years. And it's the same thing with WS. His equipment was in the area of $139,000. And when looking at their financials, Is this on?
Mhm.
In regard to applicant WS, there was money in and out of their accounts that was represented as profits from the caregiving that wasn't allowed.
Anyone else? Hearing none, the motion is to deny Green Benton Agricultural Corporation a pre-qualification for a Class C and a provision center. Please call the roll.
And this, just to clarify the motion, this is under 402-3A, personal and business probity, for the reasons stated regarding failure to comply with the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act.
The 2008 law.
Thank you.
Okay, call the roll, please.
David LaMontagne,
No.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
No.
Chairman Johnson, you have 3 yeses, 2 noes. Motion passes.
Okay, number 5 is, and I'm not real sure how to say this, but Maridel, is it Maridel? Is that correct? Corporation.
Mr.
for-
Chairman, this is related to, it's the same ownership interests for this application as the previous and for the same reasons.
Wait a minute. We don't have a motion.
I was getting ready to do that.
Oh, okay, go ahead. Sorry.
I would make a motion to deny under section 402-3A, personal and business probity to operate or maintain a marijuana facility. And again, it's regarding the same applicants, the same issues, a gross amount of money that was made in an area where they weren't allowed to profit and income. And that's certainly evidenced in their attestations when they talk about hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment used in the care.
Is there support for that? It's been moved and supported to deny Maridel Corporation under the reasons stated by Mr. Bailey. Is there any other discussion?
I just have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Yep, go ahead.
I see the director standing at the lectern. This applicant draw the scrutiny of the department as it pertains to these financial issues that have been raised here today?
Well, we always scrutinize the financials. Our recommendation was that they met the qualifications for licensure under those financial components.
Okay,
I wanted to be sure it was on the record.
any more discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll. It is to deny.
David LaMontagne,
No.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
No.
Chairman Johnson, you have 3 yeses and 2 noes. Motion passes.
Okay, number 6, 2233 North Burdick, Inc., pre-qualification for a provisioning center. Okay. Wishes of the board.
Motion to approve. Second.
It's been moved and supported to approve 2233 North Burdick, I think it's how you say it, Inc., for pre-qualification for a provisioning center. Any other discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 5 yeses. Motion passes.
Okay. Next, number 7, it's called Cannabar LLC for a pre-qualification of a provisioning center. Wishes?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Cannabar LLC has pre-qualification status for a state operating license as a provisioning center.
Is there support? I'll support it. I'll support it. It's been moved and supported to grant pre-qualifications to Cannabar LLC for a provision center. Any other discussion?
Got a question?
Yep. Go ahead.
Director, perhaps you know, the supplemental applicant here, this person shares the same name as someone who's currently playing with the Montreal Canadiens. I don't know if this is the same guy. You know,
I don't believe it is.
Somebody's doing what?
that's all I have.
Plays for the Canadians.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll. It is to grant pre-qualification.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
No?
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses, 1 no. Motion passes.
Okay. Number 8, Glacier Farms LLC for pre-qualification for a Class A grow.
Mr. Chairman, I move to grant pre-qualification status to Glacier Farms.
Second.
Moved and supported to grant pre-qualification to Glacier Farms LLC. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, on this single applicant, single supplemental application, it's kind of the same situation regarding a caregiver. Looking at the taxes, in 2017, there was a substantial amount of money that was made. 2016, the same thing. In 2015, it's all money that was extreme profits that were made in violation of the 2008 MMMA. And I don't feel I can support this application, given that it's a blatant violation of what was happening. And we have new rules going forward, and a rule under the 2008 law was you couldn't do what they were doing. And there's going to be rules that everybody doesn't like in this new law. We already know that. And I think that pattern is going to remain.
Any other discussion? Okay, the motion is to grant pre-qualification to Glacier Farms for Class A grow. Please call the roll.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
No.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses, 1 no. Motion passes.
thank you. Next is Betty Corporation for pre-qual on a Class C.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion
To approve.
to approve. Yes, sir.
Motion is to approve Betty Corporation for a pre-qualification of a Class C grow.
Second.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
No.
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses, 1 no. Motion passes.
Thank you. Number 10, Green Standard Cultivation for pre-qualification on a Class C grow.
And I'll point out that items 10 and 11 are the same supplemental applicants.
You want to do one motion or two?
You can handle it either way. If you do one, as long as it's the same motion for both, that works.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve on 10 and 11.
Support.
Any discussion to approve 10 and 11? Green Standard and, both Green Standard. Hearing none, please call the roll. It will be a pre-qualification for a Class C grow and a process facility. Please call the roll.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 5 yeses. Motion passes.
Thank you. Next is Humble Roots, I guess, LLC, for a pre-qualification on a Class C and a provision center. Comments, wishes?
Make the motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is to approve Humble Roots LLC for pre-qualification. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
No.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses, 1 no, motion passes.
thank you. Next, number 13, Royal Highness LLC for a pre-qualification of a provisioning center. Wishes and thoughts?
Mr. Chair, I move to grant pre-qualification status to Royal Highness for provision and center.
Is there support?
Support.
Moved and supported to grant Royal Highness a pre-qualification for a provisioning center. Any more discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
No.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses, 1 no, motion passes.
14, Eco Farms Harvest LLC for pre-qualification of a Class C grow.
And I'll note that items 14 and 15 are the same supplemental
that.
applicant.
They are.
Yep.
Mhm.
We can do both?
You can do both as long as it's the same motion.
Okay.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman, to approve.
Okay, the motion is to approve number 14 and 15. Is there support?
Second.
Moved and supported to grant Eco Farms Harvest a pre-qual for a Class C and a provisioning center. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, when I was looking through the documents on this one, the financial documents, there was a tax lien very recently. It was just cleared in April of this year for a substantial amount of money. As well, there was a civil litigation regarding a violation of a U.S. Department of Justice, I think it was DOT roadwork project for disadvantaged business enterprises that he was found responsible for. And I also note that there were 16 separate civil litigation cases. I don't think I would be able to support this application for those reasons.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll to grant Eco Farms Harvest a pre-qualification for a Class C grow and a provisioning center.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
No.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
No.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 3 yeses, 2 noes, motion passes.
Next is 16, Acme Alternative Health for a provisioning center pre-qualification.
Mr. Chair, I move to grant Acme Alternative Health pre-qualification status.
Is there support?
Second.
Moved and supported to grant Acme Alternative Health a pre-qual for a provisioning center. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, this is a caregiver, a provisioning center, what we're calling a provisioning center, what operated illegally under the 2008 law as a dispensary. It was raided in October of 2017.
Was it actually rated or just?
Yes.
I don't know if that was the word they used.
Yeah, is this the one where Grand Traverse County went through and
Mhm.
cleaned up
The drug,
Yes.
shut everybody down?
yeah,
Exactly.
the drug team up there.
That was one of the ones where they shut everyone down.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah, not just that.
exactly.
No, there were 6 of them that were shut down,
Correct.
and this was one of them.
Right.
But it was actually a raid where they went in and seized all the product and such. That case has not been charged, but it hasn't been walked away from what I could tell from the detective's report that we had. And there was a significant amount of money, cash money, that came from that business that went into the attestation for this. And when looking at the tax documents, I understand, when you're doing something, maybe out of bounds, like illegal, you need to move that money into someplace else where it doesn't appear like it's illegal money. There's also a second business that this applicant owns. And it has to do with seasonal home maintenance. And a lot of the money was moved, it appears, into that. And when they did their taxes on the seasonal business, which is a separate LLC, they had an itemized expenses for the seasonal property maintenance business. And that consisted of prescription vials, packaging, electricity, rent, coolers, scales, high times advertising. And that was for a seasonal home maintenance. I think it's clear to me that this is someone who's stepping outside the bounds under the 2008 law clearly, and that kind of behavior is going to continue under the 2016 law and the rules and the regulations that we put in place.
And I don't recall any charges made doing the quote unquote raid.
No,
So,
no, they have not. They have not been charged. What it said was there's been no determination, so charges are likely not coming in that case. It's a year old now. And when the detective first talked to the applicant, curiously that never came up, and the detective didn't know about it that did the investigation. And then when he found out about it, he went back, and that's when the applicant said, well, yeah, we were raided, but we weren't charged.
Okay, I have a question for the director.
Yes, sir.
Do we know, is Interlochen on the list for opting into medical marijuana?
Give me a moment. I can
Is it
figure.
Green Township?
Green Lake.
Green Lake? I say that because I can support this, but there's things need to be cleared up before they come back for a phase 2
Right.
in what I see.
It'd be different if they were wanting both, I can tell you that.
Right.
You also need to bear in mind that the address listed on the documents you see isn't necessarily the physical location of the facility. It may be the contact information.
so we'll,
But it's in Grand Traverse County, right?
Well, this is just step one.
yeah,
Right.
So he doesn't necessarily have a
Right.
right. This is the
location, yeah.
So we have
It's with-
Grand Traverse County, we have opt-ins through Acme Township and Village of Kingsley. Currently
Currently?
on our list, yes.
Okay, he's got a ways to go then.
So
Any more discussion?
So Andrew, just for clarification, similar to what Dave asked earlier, so when your group is looking at the financial documents and looking at what the second business is writing off, and is there a usual and customary for like equipment? Because I agree, equipment shouldn't be $500,000 if it's only $20,000. Like, are we scrutinizing it to that level, or is that not?
We do scrutinize that. We also rely on the CPA attestation to validate valuation of equipment and property and so forth. So we look for some validating materials, as do the CPAs.
I think just the reason I brought it up earlier is because it seems like there's a pattern emerging here where we have an individual board member exceeding what I believe to be appropriate examination of these files, and then running contrary to what the department, who's got a bazillion people, presumably, or thereof, examining these things. So then it looks to me like it's personal and way too much subjectivity. That's why I think I've got an issue with it. That's why I brought it up twice now, and I appreciate you just echoing those comments. The department has examined these things, and what better way to get these people, within compliance if they've subjected themselves to this process, and now they're going to be subjecting themselves to further scrutiny, and then this should bring them into compliance. And if they don't come into compliance, then they're out. I mean, it's pretty simple.
And I just want to clarify that although the department makes recommendations about financials at this point, and there's a resolution to allow a recommendation on other factors, it is ultimately the board's decision, and the board has access to all of the information. And it would be appropriate to review all that to confirm whether or not you agree with the department's recommendation, because it is your decision as the board.
And
The
I
department's-
agree, and I do think things can be missed. I mean, I've sat on other boards where there's and I don't agree with $10,000 worth of material being said that it's $500,000, because if I did that, I would be in trouble. I'd be penalized and everything else, right? So I just want to make sure we're looking at that and that there's some checks and balances. That's all I want to hear. And I would agree that we have to look at the phase that they're in, and the fact if they come back and there's an attestation or something that got certified that isn't accurate, then they're subjecting themselves to potentially losing a license that they get granted. So I think that needs to be noted for sure.
And I would say in the phase one evaluation, with the recommendation, we're looking at their overall financial ability and the credibility of that, not a specific amount of value for capitalization, which is required for phase two. So we reevaluate that at phase two for the specific types of licenses, because that typically is revealed what they assume they're going to be pursuing, but that can change over time. So we reevaluate the capital at phase two.
And I think that's exactly what I wanted you to say. I was trying to get somebody to say that I think a pre-qualification is different than licensure, and I think that the board has to remember that.
Well,
Absolutely.
and that was an issue that we brought up just 2 weeks ago, where there was a photograph of money used for capitalization. And in April, when we had talked about that, that was going to be cleaned up. And it wasn't. It was never revisited. And we still accepted a photograph of cash provided to a CPA who never had the opportunity to count it. So we don't know if that picture was taken off the internet or if that money actually existed. We don't know that. And that's my concern. We all know, everybody in the process knows this is document intensive, and the opportunities for us to miss something are pretty great. Vivian, you saw something in an application 2 weeks ago that I had not seen. And I think that's an advantage we have of being able to talk about it here in this open meeting, which is our only opportunity to do so, to see who maybe has seen something that I didn't see, or vice versa. And I don't think anyone saw where that write-off was taken improperly against a business that had nothing to do with the products that were being written off. My guess is, I don't think anyone else saw that but me, and I'm not quite sure how I saw it, but I did.
Okay. Motion is to approve Acme Alternative Health for pre-qual on a provisioning center. Please call roll.
David LaMontagne.
Yes.
Vivian Picard.
Yes.
Nicole Kober.
Yes.
Donald Bailey.
No.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses, 1 no. Motion passes.
Okay, number 17, Dale Enterprises, Inc. for pre-qual on a Class C grow and a provisioning center.
Make a motion to deny Dale Enterprises, Inc. for the grow based on Section 402(3)A, personal and business probity to operate or maintain a marijuana facility, as well as Section 402(3)F as in Frank. The applicant has been served with a complaint or other notice filed with any public body regarding payment of any tax required under federal, state, or local law that has been delinquent for 1 or more years. And that was evidenced by there's a pattern or history of failure to timely file tax returns and or satisfy tax obligations when they were due.
Is there support?
Support.
Moved and supported to deny Dale Enterprises, Inc. for pre-qualification of a Class C and provision center. Any more discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
David LaMontagne.
Yes.
Vivian Picard.
Yes.
Nicole Kover.
Yes.
Donald Bailey.
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 5 yeses. Motion passes.
Thank you. Number 18, Olive Biosciences, Inc. pre-qualification for a safety compliance facility.
Motion to approve Olive Biosciences, Inc.
Support.
Moved and supported to approve Olive Bioscience, Inc. for a pre-qualification of a safety compliance facility. Hearing no discussion, please call the roll.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 5 yeses. Motion passes.
thank you. Number 19, Turp Town, Inc., pre-qualification for a Class C and a provisioning center.
Motion to deny Turptown Inc. Based on Section 4023A, financial ability and experience to operate or maintain a marijuana facility. Section 4023A, also the responsibility or means to operate or maintain a marijuana facility. Section 4023C is in cat, the sources and total amount of the applicant's capitalization to operate and maintain the proposed marijuana facility. As the source of capital provided, they do not establish a reliable means for the operation of a facility under the Act, which is required, and the applicant failed to provide reasonable explanations with supporting documentation for their income and expenses.
Is there support?
Support.
Moved and supported to deny Turp Town, Inc. a pre-qualification for a Class C grow and a provisioning center. Any more discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover, Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 5 yeses. Motion passes.
Number 20, R-N-A Hauling and Farm Services LLC, pre-qualification for a secure transporter.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to deny RNA Hauling and Farm Services LLC under Section 4023A, personal and business probity to operate or maintain a marijuana facility.
Is there support? Is there support? I'll support it to get the discussion anyway. It's been moved to deny RNA Hauling and Farm Services pre-qual for secure transporter. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, this application, it was related up to about 4 weeks ago with a laboratory in the same building and essentially being run as one operation by the two entities. When the BMR agents went to do their enforcement inspection of the transport facility, they were met with both the safety compliance applicant and the applicants we have in front of us, RW and KM, and they toured the facility. The 4 of them, well, actually there were probably more BMR agents, but the three applicants, 2 applicants for this entity plus the safety compliance applicant, and it was very clear in the BMR report that the safety compliance applicant was in charge of what was happening with that inspection that was taking place. And that was 4 short weeks ago. Clearly, you can't have a safety compliance and a secure transport. And so there were concerns. Those were noted in the BMR enforcement reports. I mean, this is 4 to 6 weeks ago, and now suddenly they've become aware of the rules of the law that you can't do that, when really, I mean, that's been out there for quite some time, and I'm not sure. I don't think they have the personal or business probity to operate this facility. And also in that report, there was marijuana in one of the vehicles. That was, I believe it was loose in the console of the vehicle.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, motion is to deny RNA Hauling and Farm Services LLC a pre-qualification for a secure transporter.
Mr. Chair, could we get a little more explanation? I know we have the statutory citation, but a little more on the basis for the statutory citation.
As far as personal and business probity, they were operating, they were intending to operate this business in violation of the 2016 law, where it was connected with the safety compliance facility and the secure transporter, which isn't allowed under the act. And there was marijuana product that was loose in the vehicle, one of the transport vehicles. Also in that same report, there was discussion about there was a different vehicle that was actually the vehicle that was going to be used, and it was noted that that particular vehicle was too large to fit into the building facility. So I think when we're talking about telling the truth of what's happening here, to who is owning and who's in charge of these entities, I still have a problem with it.
Okay. Is that enough, Mr. Director?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay, please call the roll. It is to deny.
David LaMontagne,
Nope.
Vivian Picard,
No.
Nicole Kober,
No.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 2 yeses, 3 nos. Motion fails.
Is there a motion by somebody else?
Move the prequal. Approve their motion. Or
Motion,
application, rather, sorry.
okay, the motion is to pre-qual RNA Hauling and Farm Services for a transporter. Is there a support?
Support.
Moved and supported to grant a pre-qualification to RNA Hauling and Farm Services. Please call the roll.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Kober,
No.
Donald Bailey.
This is to approve?
Yes.
No.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes. What is the vote? What is the vote?
Approve.
Motion fails. That would be 3 yeses, 2 nos. Motion fails.
No.
If
No.
That would,
Wait a minute.
that would pass if there were 3
Motion
yeses and
passes.
2 nos.
Did you mean no? You want to say no?
No, I said yes.
Do we want to clarify? We had, the motion was to pre-qualify. We had LaMontagne was yes, Picard was yes, Cover was no, Bailey was no, Johnson was yes. That would be 3 yeses, 2 nos. The motion would pass.
Mhm.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, number 21. BDS Medical Growers LLC for a Class C grow, a provisioning center, and a processor. What are the wishes?
Make a motion to pre-qualify, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion is to pre-qualify BDS Medical Growers LLC for a Class C grow, a provision center, and a processor. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, in reviewing supplemental applicant SA, there was a case of perjury that was admitted from 2012 and 2013 is when the case was adjudicated. It was a civil matter deposition where he admitted perjuring himself. That's problematic for me.
Okay, any other discussion? Motion is to grant BDS Medical Growers LLC a provisioning center process and Class C grow pre-qualification. Please call the roll.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
No.
Nicole Kober,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
No.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 3 yeses, 2 nos. Motion passes.
Number 22, Green Express Transport LLC, pre-qualify for a secure transporter.
Mr. Chair, motion to approve.
Is there support?
Support.
Moved and supported to approve Green Express Transport LLC pre-qualification status for a secure transporter. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 5 yeses. Motion passes.
thank you. Next one is Driven Grow, number 23, pre-qualification for a Class A grow.
Motion approved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Moved and supported to approve Driven Grow LLC for Class A pre-qualification grow. Hearing no discussion, please call the roll.
Mr. Chairman, I did have a comment.
Go ahead.
Regarding this applicant AD, this is another 2008 MMA caregiver who took advantage of it immediately and began commercial operations. Actually, both applicants here did. Reported is hundreds of thousands of dollars of income that were not allowed to be taken under the 2008 law, and they were. For that purpose, I would oppose this application.
Any other discussion? The motion is to approve Driven Grow LLC for a pre-qualification in a Class A grow. Please call the roll.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
No.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses, 1 no. Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Number 24,
And 20.
and I just say, is it 25 the same?
Mhm.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, the ownership group for 24 and 25 are the same, and I would note that the same ownership group was previously pre-qualified on 2 or 3 applications.
And Mr. Chair, I'm approved to grant DVNK and 3 and 4 pre-qualification status.
Second.
Moved and supported to grant DVNK3 LLC and DNVK, what is it,
4.
4, for a pre-qual for provisioning center and 2 provisioning centers, I'm sorry. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 5 yeses. Motion passes.
thank you. Okay, agenda item 7B. These are going to be for a license, correct?
That's correct.
And some maybe
So maybe both.
pre-qual.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, first one is KTC Industries LLC for a pre-qualification of a provisioning center.
Mr. Chairman, this applicant was already pre-qualified. This is
I'm
just for the
sorry.
state operating license.
I move to grant.
Support.
Moved and granted to give a license to KTC Industries LLC for a provisioning center. Hearing no discussion, please call roll.
Mr. Chairman, this is for 2 provisioning centers. Is that correct?
No, I don't believe so.
It's just for one.
This is just for one.
Correct.
Which one is it for?
The Jackson location.
Jackson. Any other discussion? Please call roll.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 5 yeses. Motion passes.
Okay, number 2, Green Bronco LLC for a state operating license for a provisioning center.
And this entity did have pre-qualification granted in May of this year.
31, yep.
I move the grant the license, Mr. Chairman.
4.
Moved and supported to grant Green Bronco LLC a operating license for a provisioning center. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 5 yeses. Motion passes.
Next is number 3, Golden Harvest, for a operating license. They were pre-qualified October 18th, correct?
Motion to approve.
Support.
Moved and supported to grant Golden Harvest a license for Class C grow. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 5 yeses. Motion passes.
Okay, number 4, Green Door Bangor LLC, Bangor, maybe I say that? A pre-qualification and a state operating license for a provisioning center.
We have the same supplemental applicants on the next item, PM Growers. If you wish to handle them together and have the same motion, you can do it that way.
But isn't that second one only pre-qualification, not licensure?
Correct.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
you're right. You should do them separately. Sorry about that.
Okay, number 4, Green Door Bangor for a pre-qual and a license for a provisioning center. No more discussion? Please call the roll.
We need a motion.
Oh, I thought you did. Oh,
Motion to approve.
Motion is to approve. Is there support? We're there. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, regarding, excuse me, these 2 applications, again, they are one and the same as far as supplemental applicants. I noticed on social media from June, Laura was out and did an inspection. I assume it was the BMR agents. And it's, their social media said that Laura told them that they can't sell clones anymore, which of course they can. At this point, they were not licensed. So come and get them. So they were still going to sell them, even though Laura told them they couldn't sell them. I think that's the kind of issue that we're going to have problems with going forward under the regulated market. Is Laura agents can't be everywhere at once at the same time. And we're going to rely on people to do the right thing on their own because it's the right thing to do, because it's regulated, whether they agree with the regulations or not.
And
Any
I'll
other
just remind-
discussion?
Excuse me, I'll just remind the board that the decisions need to be made based on the record that you have in front of you from the department.
This was a link from in the record.
Okay, thank you.
I think anytime you start a sentence with "I saw on social media," it ought to be just viewed with some level of skepticism. It's just me. I don't know.
I mean, there's fake news.
Really?
Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
You got to hashtag it.
You guys are going to lose my spot here. Okay, the motion.
President.
The motion is to approve Green Door Bangor LLC a pre-qualification and a state operating license for a provisioning center. Please call the roll.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
No.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses, 1 no. Motion passes.
Next, number 5, PM Growers, which is similar to what we just got through. Well, this is a Class A for pre-qualification.
Move to support.
Second.
Okay, moved and supported to approve PM Growers LLC as of a Class A pre-qualification. That's a grow, by the way. Any more discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
No.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses, 1 no. Motion passes.
Okay, number 6 is 420 Relief LLC for a pre-qual and a state operating license for a provisioning center. Kind of a neat name, I guess.
Mhm.
So there's something popular about 420 in this group?
little bit.
A little bit? Okay. Wishes of the board.
Move to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Is there support?
Support.
Moved and supported to approve 420 Relief LLC, a pre-qualification and a license for a provisioning center. Any more discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 5 yeses. Motion passes.
Number 7, Michigan Compassion Center LLC for a pre-qualification and a state operating license.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and supported to approve Michigan Compassion Center. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman, there's quite a lengthy BMR enforcement actions taken on this applicant, and there's a lot of troubling issues that go along with what's been happening since 2008. And it's happened since their temporary operation when the temporary rules were in place. When looking at the BMR enforcement reports, there was complaints made, anonymous. Well, I guess they weren't anonymous; they were named. But there were complaints made that they were selling out-of-state product in violation of the rules. BMR agents went there. They found that, in fact, they were selling quite a bit of out-of-state product. The on-duty manager said that they didn't know how it got there or where invoices were for that, which are required to be on site. After that, the BMR agent asked for the owner to be called. The on-duty manager called somebody with the initials of TR, who she identified as the owner, but there's nobody named TR on the application. It's not an owner. The following day, this person identified as TR did return a call to the BMR agent and said that the applicant CFK was the owner, but she was out of state and left him in charge of the operation. The BMR agent asked about the invoices, and the TR said they were kept off site. He seemed to know that they were kept off site, and they were in storage, and he would get them to him. A week later, BMR agents went back out, and the invoices did not support at all the product that they had seen when they were out there the week previous. It's clear that they're not following the rules. There was an unlocked door in the provisioning center, and through that locked door, it's one big building. There were 4 marijuana grow operations, caregiver grow operations that were taking place. And next to those 4 locked marijuana grows was just an open grow of marijuana. All of that's in violation of Flint's temporary operating agreements that they made years ago. It's in violation of the temporary rules that we have in place under the 2016 law. And there was also one other complaint that was made in September. There was 2 BMR inspection reports, investigation reports in, I believe it was end of June, 1st of July, and in September.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I just want to make sure it's clear that there were 3 investigations. When we receive complaints, we have a duty to investigate. All 3 of those investigations resulted in a finding of no violations. And they also did have a temporary operation attestation on file from the city of Flint and have passed inspection.
When you say there was no violation, that's because they're not licensed yet. Selling California product, that's something that we can't do in Michigan for a licensee.
You're correct, they're not licensed. We look for any violations of the statute and rules and determine if there's anything that we feel needs to be cited and reported to the board. Our focus with our investigations into facilities has been trying to educate them and encouraging compliance. And if they're willing to be compliant and abide by the rules, then we typically do not find violations.
Okay. This question might be better for Brian. Was there any, after you contacted the manager who identified TR as the owner, and TR you did speak with, and he identified himself as a property manager, but not an owner nor an applicant, did you ever, and you expressed that you needed to talk to the owner, did the owner ever reach out to you?
Not proactively, but we did talk to the owner in October. And in October, we did the inspection and the caregiver operations. The marijuana was gone, but the equipment for that operation was still there. So we could not pass their inspection. And then in November, we passed their inspection. Or excuse me, in November, we took rid of, got rid of that specific issue. And then in December, we passed their inspection. So in November, that part was corrected.
Thank you.
Anything else? Motion is to approve Mission Compassion Center LLC for a pre-qualification and an operating license. Please call the roll.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
No.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
No.
Chairman Johnson, you have 3 yeses, 2 nos. Motion passes.
Thank you. Number 8, Michigan Safe Transfer LLC for a pre-qualification and a state operating license for a provisioning center.
Motion to deny Michigan Safe Transfer LLC based on Section 402(3)A, personal and business probity to operate or maintain a marijuana facility. Section 402(3)A also the financial ability and experience to operate or maintain a marijuana facility. And under Section 402(3)A also the responsibility or means to operate or maintain a marijuana facility. And Section 402(3)F is in Frank, the applicant has been served with a complaint or other notice filed with any public body regarding the payment of any tax required under federal, state, or local law and has been delinquent for 1 or more years. It was evidence that there is a pattern or history of failure to satisfy business and/or tax obligations. Records provided by the applicant demonstrate an inability to operate a marijuana business in a compliant manner. And that my motion is to deny.
Support? There's support? I'll support it. Any other discussion? Motion is to deny Michigan Safe Transfer LLC a pre-qual and a state operating license for a provisioning center. Please call the roll.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 5 yeses. Motion passes.
Next, number 9, the applicant is 3200 North LLC. Excuse me. A state operating license. They were pre-qualified in October of 18.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and supported to approve 3200 North LLC for a state operating license for a provisioning center. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
No.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 4 yeses, 1 no. Motion passes.
Thank you. Number 10, the applicant is Nature's Relief Clinics. It's for a pre-qualification and a state operating license for a provisioning center.
Motion to deny Nature's Relief Clinics LLC for a pre-qualification and state operating license based on Section 402(3)A, both under financial ability and experience to operate or maintain a marijuana facility and the responsibility or means to operate or maintain a marijuana facility, as well as Section 402(3)C as in cat, the sources and total amount of the applicant's capitalization to operate and maintain the proposed marijuana facility. and that was evidenced by an implausible business arrangement to support their capitalization. Records provided by the applicant demonstrate an inability to operate or maintain a marijuana business in a compliant manner, and there is a pattern or history of failure to timely file tax returns and/or satisfy tax obligations when they are due.
Is there support for that?
Support.
Moved and supported to deny Nature's Relief Clinics a pre-qualification and a state operating license for a provisioning center. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
David LaMontagne.
Yes.
Vivian Pickard. Nicole Cover.
Yes.
Donald Bailey.
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes,
Chairman Johnson, you have 5 yeses. Motion passes.
thank you. Okay, we go to number 8, proposal for decision. For a pre-qualification application, if the director would kind of go through this a little bit, I believe this is one coming back from a denial, is that correct?
Correct. So the materials provided are the proposal for decision and related documents from the ALJ through Maz. So the hearing was, the public investigative hearing was conducted, and I believe the Attorney General has some guidance on the motion and the options the board has available. So I'll defer to Ms. Marzorati.
Thank you. So initially, just to refresh everybody's memory, the board denied the application based on section 402(2)(c) of the act. The applicant knowingly submitted an application for a license that contains false information. A hearing was held, as Mr. Brisboe indicated. You have the record from that hearing. Based on that record and the entirety of the record before you, your options are to affirm your initial denial of the license under section 402(2)(c) and have the denial stand. You can modify your decision to deny the application by clarifying or adding or removing perhaps provisionary or provisions of the statute. Or you can reverse your initial denial and find that the applicant, in this case, has pre-qualification status for the pending application. So 3 options: affirm your initial decision, modify, or reverse. And if you want to start with a motion, we can help walk you through the specifics.
Mr. Chairman, I move to affirm the board's decision to deny Green Transport LLC's application because the applicant is not qualified to receive a license under Medical Marijuana Facilities License Act section. What was the section we used?
The initial provision cited was 402(2)(c),
Under 402(2)(c).
which is knowingly submitted an application containing false information.
Is there support?
Support.
Moved and supported to affirm the board's decision to deny Green Transport Services, Inc. a pre-qualification status.
And then what we would want is for you to identify specifically what the reasons are for affirming your decision now that a hearing has been held based on the entire record, what some of the specifics are for why you are affirming your decision in light of the new information.
Including the information we got back from the administrative hearing?
Correct.
Okay.
In other words, if you disagree with what the administrative law judge's recommendation is, you would want to identify what in the record leads to the disagreement, whether you found, for example, testimony not credible, not plausible, whether there were discrepancies in the record, whatever the specific reasons are that lead you to, in light of the hearing, to affirm your initial decision.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, in reading the documents from the administrative hearing, there was a document submitted by the attorney for the applicant, MD. And the information that was presented to the attorney certainly came from the applicant. And in that statement to the administrative law judge, it named me as saying that Bailey said they were qualified in every other way, and that's simply not true. I never believed they were qualified in every other way. Not that we necessarily went into it, but I don't believe that there's anything that I said at that meeting that would lead anyone to believe that they were qualified in every other way. Later on, they talk, there's a statement that I expressly told Mr. and Mrs. Densmore that this was the only issue with their applicant. I've never spoken with Mr. and Mrs. Densmore, and I wouldn't make those statements because that's not what I believe. I believe the issue regarding the arrest was not reported accurately. It certainly wasn't. It was left off the initial application. And really troubling was the response to what that was. The deputies were just giving him a ride. They weren't taking him to jail. But then the judge did throw it out immediately the next morning, which that didn't happen. There was a plea, and then there was a term of probation, and it was dismissed after a successful term of probation. That happens all the time. But that's not how it was described when he was initially confronted with it. And that's something that I think that I have a problem with.
Any other discussion? Any other comments to it? Hearing none, your vote is to affirm the board's decision that we made in the past. I don't recall the date, but to reaffirm that position going forward.
And I just would like to clarify, just for
April
purposes of the record, the motion would be to affirm the decision to deny Green Transport Services application because the applicant is not qualified to receive a license under 402(2)(c) of the Act, based on the applicant knowingly submitting an application for a license that contains false information, and for the reasons Mr. Bailey identified, that the record, if I'm summarizing this accurately, and please confirm, that you did not find the information presented credible. Would that be an accurate summary of your statements about the record, that you did not find the information
Yes,
credible as to the explanation?
that's correct.
Do we have 423A in there?
I was just going to ask that. Can we add 4023A? Because I think that is applicable. Personal business probity to operate.
That would change your motion because it was not.
Yeah, I don't think we can do that.
Okay.
You
then
can,
You'd have to go to the
you would
modified.
have to change your motion to modify. If you believe evidence in the record demonstrates and supports that provision as well, that would lead to a motion to modify, as opposed to what your current motion on the table is, to affirm your previous decision based on knowingly submitting information on the application that was false. And I think I mixed up the order of those words, but.
Then we just add addendum. So we would add an addendum to the motion then?
I think it'd have to be withdrawn and a new
Withdrawn
motion
and a new motion.
presented.
Okay.
Does the maker of the motion wish to then withdraw?
From the Attorney General, is that something that we should do in this respect, do you suppose?
It would be up to the board to decide how you want to handle it. Again, you have the option to deny based on the original reasons because you believe in light of the hearing, that the initial reasons are still valid, and those are all the reasons that apply here. If you wish, based on additional information presented during the hearing, to modify your initial decision, you could add a provision. I would just caution you to only modify the decision, ideally when there's new information that's been presented that would lead to adding a new statutory citation. So again, you can modify the decision if there's new information in the record that you believe justifies adding another provision, in which case you would want to modify.
Yeah, I think for the purposes of the hearing, I think it's fine as it stands. If this does get appealed to the next level, all that information is still relevant. It's still in the record and can be talked about.
Okay. Motion is to affirm our decision on April 19th to deny. Any more discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
David LaMontagne,
Yes.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey,
Yes.
Chairman Rick Johnson.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson, you have 5 yeses. Motion passes.
Okay. We are to the department report, Mr. Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just wanted to update the board with our current statistics as to applications and approvals. We have had 902 pre-qualification applications paid and submitted now. 203 of those have been approved, 101 have been denied, and 51 are inactive. Grower A applications, 36 submitted, 2 approved, 2 denied. Grower B, 5 submitted, 0 approved, 0 denied. Grower C, 204 submitted, 27 approved, 4 denied. Processors, 57 submitted, 10 approved, 0 denied. Provisioning centers, 210 submitted, 52 approved, 33 denied. Secure transporters, 13 submitted, 4 approved, 0 denied. Safety compliance facilities, 7 submitted, 4 approved, 0 denied. And we do have 13 inactive Step 2 licensure applications. And we are now up to 109 municipalities that have adopted ordinances to opt in under the MMFLA. Any questions about the statistics?
Who's the latest that opted in?
Jackson, City of Jackson. City of Jackson.
And the number of inactive, is that up substantially, it sounded like?
Yes, that's up. I think the total number about doubled since the last meeting as we work through those applications and start applying those timelines. I'm sure there are others in the system. We just haven't marked yet, but we'll continue to update those numbers as we get to them.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We did issue a few bulletins since the last meeting on December 10th. We issued these are all updates to existing bulletins, but we updated the visiting qualifying patient bulletin to update that with information from the state of Ohio, which is now issuing their version of patient registry cards through their Board of Pharmacy. On December 13th, we did an update to the universal symbol. We'd received a lot of feedback. The universal symbol is looks sort of like a green yield sign with what is commonly known as a marijuana leaf in the middle with, I think the header said contains THC. And we received a lot of feedback that many of the products that are sold through this regulated market do not contain THC products, so that's somewhat misleading. We changed it to say contains marijuana product. So we've and the guidance we gave is that they can continue to use, many of the processors and packagers have produced many of those labels already. They can continue to use those old labels until they're out. And if they wanted to start using the new symbol on products that didn't contain THC while they're utilizing their existing supply of those that say contains THC, that wouldn't be a violation. And on December 19th, we did an update to the testing guide. That was substantially just to bring that up to date with the current set of administrative rules that was published. And we're also going back through other bulletins and trying to update and revise those or take some down if they pertain to emergency rule sets that are no longer in effect. Any questions about those? I did provide the board with the annual report. The annual report is a compilation of data that's required by Section 302, Section 702 of the MMFLA, as well as Section 519 of Public Act 107 of 2017. That's our budget boilerplate bill. Instead of producing several different reports, we compiled it all into one report. Just wanted to present that for the board's review. That will be something that we intend, obviously, to comply with statute to produce annually, but we intend to do that probably quarterly and publish that information to our website. We know there's a great deal of interest in the number of plants in production and facilities licensed and so forth. So we'll try and produce that data more regularly and make it publicly available. I wanted the board to be aware of that. So that will be submitted to various bodies within the legislature, as well as the governor's office and the state budget office. I believe we have 3 different due dates depending on those 3 different provisions, but we just do it all at once and submit it to all 3 places at the same time. And then just a bit of a legislative update, kind of on the fly. This was happening until very early this morning, but House Bill 6421 was ordered and enrolled on 12/18. House Bill, that was 6421, I believe, was the allowance for us to get digitized images from the Secretary of State to put on registry cards, as was Senate Bill 1263. No, I think it was 1264, which is also in the same status. House Bill 6422 was presented to the governor on 1220. That was the bill to amend the Tracking Act to allow us to share certain information with financial institutions designated by an applicant or licensee. And House Bills 1262 and 1263 passed the House on 1221 and were returned to the Senate. Senate Bill 1262 has a lot of substantive changes to the MMFLA, including the definition of applicant and adding a criminal provision for the operation of a medical marijuana facility without a license. Any questions about any of that?
On the driver's license, that goes on in the medical card, is that what you're saying?
Correct. So the two bills that are in flight now, I believe it's House Bill 6421 and then Senate Bill 1264, one for the vehicle code, one for the State ID Act,
Right.
would give the Secretary of State the authorization, if it's required by rules for the format of the card, for us to get the digitized image transmitted. The cards, as they stand now, both for patients and caregivers, have a place for the picture, but we've never been able to secure that interface in order to add the pictures. We think that's of benefit to patients and caregivers as well as facility operators when they're trying to identify themselves. It makes it clearer who the person is that should be holding that card.
What if their license is not, it's an out-state license, but a in-state person for the medical card? Talking about like, all these people that go south for the winter.
Sure. Well, having worked at Secretary of State, I do know that the state of Florida is the only state where you can get a driver's license, even if you have a driver's license in another state. It's called a Florida-only license. So many of those snowbirds have a Michigan license, but also have a Florida license. But in essence, this gives them the ability to share with us the pictures. If there's no picture on file, the card will still be printed just with a designation that no picture is available.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for the director? Okay, down to 10, public comment. Do we have any cards? Can't have too many, there's not many people here. David Calkin. Ypsilanti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the board. I have a tiny technology company in Ypsilanti, Michigan, and I'm one of the most metric validated companies in the nation, and I provide RFID and the hardware and the software that help track the cannabis in this state. And I just wanted to leave you with a flyer in case I can be helpful if you ever decide to track laboratory test samples or do more tracking for the transportation facilities. I'd like to leave my flyer with you in case I can be of service to you or the state.
Give that to the staff, thank you. Benjamin Wrigley. I'm saying your first name right, Ben? See, it ain't quite spelled that way here.
I think it's an old family name.
Is that what it is?
What I want to say is thank you to all the board members for their perseverance. Get closer. All right, let's try it again. I want to thank all the members of the board for their perseverance, for their persistence, and their dedication to the job that they've been asked to do. While sometimes we may disagree with some comments or decisions you make, you're making decisions for this industry, and it will be a significant industry for the state of Michigan. And we are making progress and moving ahead. And we hope that as lawyers and applicants and people involved in the industry, we can continue to work together to promote the industry and make progression. The other thing that I wanted to say was that I was walking up here, I was handed this, and I want to be the first to tell you that your pay rate for next year has been doubled.
Oh,
Thank you again, and happy holidays.
Because double of zero is.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, 2 times nothing is nothing.
Yeah.
Anything else? Not, we need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
Please call the roll to adjourn.
Chairman Rick Johnson,
Yes.
David LaMontagne,
No.
Vivian Picard,
Yes.
Nicole Cover,
Yes.
Donald Bailey.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Merry Christmas, happy holidays. We'll see you all next year.